again, friends, and welcome back to my channel. My name's Amy, and I'm glad you decided to join me for Chapter 9 of me reading the book that I wrote, Legends, Orbs of the Elements. As always, if you would like to find out where to buy this book on your own, I will be telling you all the places to buy it at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. I hope you are having a wonderful Tuesday, and let's just jump right back into this adventure. Chapter 9. As the sun rose high in the sky the following morning, Prince Nero quickly got dressed. He knew that Leon and Castilla had gotten one of the orbs. He had a cunning plan for John, and he would set it into motion when Leon and Castilla would come to him. The stone step echoed as he walked. He entered the room with the black marble dragon statue. The dragon had an outstretched arm. The claws were the holding places for the orbs, so that when the orbs were in it, it appeared like the dragon was holding all 5. Nero grinned with delight. Now that the first orb was in the hunter's hand, he could get either Blinkin or Rifa to locate another orb before the hunter. The black magic quarry was magical. It only appeared every 100 years. Each time it appeared, it was in a different location. Nero had forced the elves to tell him where it would be. Afterward, he imprisoned them in a prison out of sight of all eyes with black magic. Just then, his raven flew into the room and landed on his arm. Nero stared into the bird's eyes. He absorbed all the information that the bird had seen. "Ah, the captain is back," he said to the bird as he strolled over and got a piece of meat for his feathered pet. Blinkin and Rifa then entered the room. He eyed them silently while stroking softly the raven's wings. "You two, listen up. Rifa, I want you to find the orb in the southern woods. Blinkin, I want you to take our guest, John, to the barracks. Wait for me there." Blinkin said nothing and nodded. Blinkin had taken notice that Nero had been speaking to Rifa first, and even invited her to play the game that he and Nero had played. He wouldn't be lying to himself to say being acknowledged second stung his pride. He considered himself superior to the witch standing next to him. Rifa bowed. "Yes, my lord," she replied, and left without looking back. Blinkin waited till she was gone. "My lord, as I'm sure you know, the captain is back. Shall I send him up? Shall I send him up?" The prince bobbed his head. "Yes, Blinkin, that will be all." The wizard smiled a half smile and left the room at once. Prince Nero leisurely strolled out of the room. He entered another and admired the large map of the territories on it. Prince Nero had black, thick, curly hair. He had a small beard that covered most of his chin. He also had a thin mustache. He could hear the captain approach as he kept his eyes roaming the map. Nero slowly turned. He had deep sea blue eyes. "How was your journey to the eastern coast?" he asked, knowing the answer already. The captain bowed before he said a word. "My lord, the people of the eastern coast have come to see how great of an alliance you will make." Nero chuckled. "The legend and the hunter?" Nero asked. The other man kept his eye contact with his lord while he replied, "They slipped out of our grasp. I sent 4 men to retrieve them, but they came back and squawking about some horrible monster," the captain said in a dismissive tone that was a mixture of disappointment and disbelief. Nero thought for a moment. Never mind that. I have something I need your experience on. I want you to train a prisoner. The captain didn't seem to understand. My lord, for what purpose? He asked. Nero smiled. He put a hand on the captain's shoulder. Follow me to the barracks, and I'll explain. Without hesitation, the captain obeyed Nero and followed his leader down to the barracks. The prince explained as they went. When they arrived, the captain knew what he had to do. Lincoln and John were waiting for them. John had manacles on. John was trying to yell through the gag in vain. Captain, Lincoln, you both will be training John every other day till I'm satisfied. Today you'll start with Lincoln, so that tomorrow the captain will be well rested. The two men nodded their understanding to Nero. Good. I must be on my way now. He and the captain departed and went their separate ways. John of the Western Plains was not faint of heart. When the captain and Nero were gone, Lincoln took out John's gag. Lincoln, with a wave of his hand, unlocked John's manacles that fell to the ground and made a dull clinking noise. You will feel my wrath if you don't do as I say, Lincoln said harshly. John said nothing while rubbing his wrist from the stinging pain from the restraints. Never, you will never break me, John said, and stared right back at the wizard. Well then, brave man, let's put your courage to the test, shall we? Lincoln said, in a voice dripping with mockery. With two waves of his hand, he and John were transported into a dark arena where there were 3 floating torches above their heads. Lincoln then vanished into the air. John was now alone again. All his senses were on heightened alert. Without warning, he was knocked flat to the ground with a great unknown force. He could feel heavy breathing on his neck. Then a low, gurgling, growling noise rumbled in his ears. He breathed in a quick breath and turned around to face his foe. What a horrific sight was before him. A creature that had the body of a massive lion and the head of a dragon. John had no weapon. What was he going to do? Relax, he told himself. The prince needed him alive. Maybe this was some sort of test. The arena they were in was an old, ancient arena. The creature charged at him. John jumped to the side when it got close. John tried to pretend that he was on the Western Plains again, and this monster was what he was hunting. There were rocks and rubble all about the arena. Think, John, think, he told himself. Then an idea entered his head. He slowly reached for a nearby rock the size of a red apple in autumn time. The creature, or Lygon, opened its massive mouth and breathed fire into his direction. John then gathered a few more rocks. The Lygon looked ready to attack. John threw a sharp rock at the creature. It hit the Lygon in the shoulder, hard. The Lygon let out a sharp roar. Then it charged in the direction the rock had come from. John jumped and tumbled to avoid the snapping jaws of his enemy. John had received a few cuts from the rocks on his arms and legs, but he paid no attention to them now. His legs were beginning to cramp up from the relentless movement. The Lygon was skilled in the art of stalking its prey. It knew that John was tiring. Now the pain came pouring into every muscle in his body. He slumped to the ground, breathing hard. He frantically began rubbing his leg. Now the creature made its move. With a great leap, the creature pinned its victim to the ground. Drool began to fall on John's sweaty, dirty face. He tried to wipe it away, but couldn't. The beast was too strong. The Lygon snapped. Youch! Youch! John shouted in pain. He managed to look down and saw both his arms and legs had been jaggedly had slashes in them. Blood mixed with drool fell upon John's torso. He was about to call out again, but didn't. He wouldn't give his captor the satisfaction. He forced himself to laugh. Ha ha ha! Is that the best you can do, wizards? Ha! I am not afraid, he shouted out defiantly. The Lygon suddenly began to fade away, and the weight from his massive body began to lighten. John was breathing heavily, and sweat covered his aching body. His heart was racing 100 miles per minute. From the shadows, Blinkin reappeared. He stared blankly at John for a moment. 10 minutes. It only took 10 minutes for the Lygon to pin you to the ground. How unimpressed I am. I thought the Lygon would be easy for an experienced hunter like yourself to kill or at least injure, the wizard said dryly. Blinkin watched with mild curiosity as John attempted to hobble away. The wizard moved his hand in an arc over the prisoner. John felt all of the aching, stinging pain suddenly dull and fade. He looked at Blinkin in a startled surprise. There, you should be able to walk to your cell now, was all the reply Blinkin would give. The wizard walked as he was in no hurry to get John back to his cell. John felt the sting on his wrists. He looked down and saw that his manacles magically had reappeared on his wrist. When they arrived back, Blinkin shoved him into the cold, damp stone floor and slammed the door shut. All the muscles in his body burned with the overuse, and he was in pain all over. There was no light in his cell. He was in total darkness. He found a corner and stayed there. No one came near his cell. He didn't even hear other prisoners. John came to the startling conclusion. He was the only prisoner alive down here. All the other prisoners had died. So that is the end of chapter 9. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you are enjoying listening to this story. If you would like to read along with me or on your own, you can buy a copy of my book on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, Apple iBooks, and lots of other places books are sold. I am so enjoying reading this. If you like this video, please give it a big like, subscribe, share with friends and family. Down in the comments down below, let me know what your favorite mythical creature is. I loved making up and deciding on a Lygon. I just think it is such a cool, unique creature. So let me know down in the comments what your favorite either mythical creature is, or if you would like to see a Lygon. So that's all. Like I said, that's all the video for today, and I will see you tomorrow with a new chapter. Bye-bye for now, everybody.